You're listening to Quantum Conversations with Karen Curry Parker. Join us as we explore new frontiers in consciousness, science, and evolution. And now here's your host, Karen Curry Parker.
We often make the process of life complicated. Even the teachings of many personal growth and human potential leaders is complex. We have to visualize, hold specific frequencies of energy, think positive, never waver in our striving to live an evolved life. But what if the path of living a good life is a simple process of untangling the mind and simply being present to the nature of the heart of who we truly are? If Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, and the Divine Mother were to meet in conversation, what would each of them think of the other's spiritual points of view? In Maresha Donna Ducharme's book, The Way Home to Love, A Guide to Peace in Turbulent Times, she distills down primary teachings from many ancient and modern religions into a simple manifesto outlining how we can return to the heart of our true essence. In this episode of Quantum Conversations, Maresha shares with us how the heart essence, that core inner place of alignment with the true nature of the universe, holds the key to changing the world and stabilizing your own experience as we go through this incredible planetary cycle of transformation and growth. Hi, and welcome to Quantum Conversations. I'm Karen Curry Parker, and I'm excited to have with me today Maresha Ducharme. Maresha is a unique combination of mystic, teacher, and author, and she's a dedicated practitioner of unity consciousness. She's the resident teacher of the Snow Dragon Sanctuary and the author of a new book called The Way Home to Love, A Guide to Peace in Turbulent Times. And oh boy, are we going to pick your brain today, Maresha. So thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
So I want to dive in because you actually have a really interesting question on your website that I think is a really powerful question. And you say, if Jesus, Buddha, Krishna, Muhammad, and the Divine Mother were to meet in conversation, you don't actually say this, but I think, what would they say about what the heck is going on the planet right now? What would be their point of view, and what do you think they would have to share with us?
Well, I really think that having explored a lot of the traditions, that at the heart of all traditions is really a very similar message. And no matter what faith, tradition, religion that you come from or subscribe to, and that is love. And so, we use the word love rather loosely. I'm not really talking about romantic love. I'm talking about, the essence of our human nature, as each one of us as a soul is connected to the divine current or to God. And if you really take a look at a lot of the traditions, they have very, very similar teachings. I know a lot of people wouldn't agree with that, but all traditions have codes to live by. In Christianity, it's the Ten Commandments. In Buddhism, it's the Eightfold Path. In the yogic tradition, it's the yamas and the niyamas, and so forth. And so, we also have the Christian do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And then in the Eastern tradition, we have the idea of karma, which is, what you put out comes back. And so I really think that the essence of the master teachers would be very, very similar. And it would be how to find one's way home to the essence of love, which is God. And, the Bible says the kingdom of heaven is within. And it's really ironic that we are so outer-oriented. We search around ourselves a lot, outside of ourselves a lot. When really what we're looking for on the deepest levels, we can only access by going within our own heart and soul. So I think the message, the unified message would be one of love.
So, okay, so I'm going to get a little bit practical here, just because I think that one of the beautiful parts about living at this time is that there are a lot of people in this world who I think really get that idea conceptually. It's easy to have, it's not easy, but it's something that I think a lot of people have been working hard towards understanding from a cognitive perspective. But how do you, when you open your CNN news page on the internet, and today we're looking at headlines that have yet again another terrorist attack in the headlines, how do you take that understanding of love and apply it, say, towards somebody who's committed a horrendous act? And are we supposed to apply love to somebody who's created a horrendous act? How do we stay grounded in that love energy when we are facing things that maybe, I think for a lot of my listeners, don't even make sense? Like, how can anybody even hurt somebody? How do we respond to that from a loving place?
Well, I think that first we have to admit to ourselves that we suffer. I think every human being is tried and tested. And I think that every human being every day is faced with various challenges. I had a friend text me this morning saying I was coming over to drop such and such off, but I was late because two women got into a fight at the gas pump. And he said it was just the most bizarre thing. There's just conflict no matter where you go. But I think that what we have to understand is that we have to really start with creating peace within our own consciousness. And if we observe that we are frustrated, or that we're afraid, or that we're angry, or maybe we're judging something, the first thing we have to do is to really cover the territory within ourselves in order to begin to affect the larger whole. And we live in the dimension of polarity and duality. So everything in this dimension of this earth as we know it is, it's hot, it's cold, it's right, it's wrong, it's do, it's don't, should, shouldn't, Republican, Democrat, and we could go on all day. And most of us have unconscious patterned programs that live inside of us. And when something comes to tweak that program, we don't like it. And so it really becomes about how do we find the point of balance inside of our own heart, body, mind, and spirit that is neutral. And it does exist, and it is within us. But just like anything else, if you want to become physically fit and you decide you're going to undertake an exercise program, you have to make a commitment to it, and you have to actually do the workout. Well, it's the same thing on the spiritual levels. There's practices that you do that you can eventually become adept at that can bring you into these places inside that are indeed peaceful and loving and accepting, despite the fact that there is all this chaos and turbulence happening around us. We have to start from within at that seed of our own center and go out from there. And then there's another story that I always share, and that's Viktor Frankl's book. He was, which was Man's Search for Meaning. He was at Auschwitz in the concentration camp, and he was in line for the gas chamber. And as he stood there, he was having a realization, an epiphany, and he realized that he could either go to his death with fear and hatred, fear of dying and hatred toward the perpetrator, or he could face his death fearlessly and forgive his perpetrator. Now, I think that's a very, very extreme example. I don't think it gets much more extreme than that. And he, in those moments, in those quick moments of realization, he opened himself up, he forgave his perpetrator, and what happened was he was taken out of line. And he didn't die that day. And the point wasn't really whether he lived or died. The point was really what consciousness he chose to embrace. And as it turned out, something would happen every day. There would be another reason that would come up why he would not go into the gas chamber. And so I think that we may not feel like we have a choice when things are so chaotic, but we always have a choice as to how we choose to either react in fear or frustration, or whether we choose to respond and remain peaceful. And that's a sacred choice, I think, that every human being gets to make. And in the book, I'm making that case, and I'm saying that each individual soul has everything that he or she needs inside of oneself in order to find those points of balance.
So, do you have like a practical exercise, since this is obviously, I think, a muscle that we have to develop, our peace muscle, right?
Yes.
Do you have specific practices that you train people to do to be able to drop into that space quickly so that they're well practiced in implementing this?
Yes. And they're very, very simple. They're so simple that most people can't really grasp. They can't grasp it because it's so simple. But the entry point to learning how to respond instead of react is simply learning how to breathe consciously. We breathe unconsciously all day and all night. Most of the time, we're not thinking about it. So it's just we're unconsciously breathing. But one of the very first entry point practices is to become conscious about the breath. And I describe a very simple breath in the book, which is called the Golden Circle Breath. It's a very, very long inhalation and a very long exhalation. There are a few other pieces to it, but if you can actually begin to breathe for about 30 seconds to 60 seconds, you can change your consciousness. Because what you're giving yourself there by turning on that, okay, it's time to breathe consciously switch, you're giving yourself time to change your unconscious repetitive patterns into a neutral zone, and thereby not continuing the habit, but just giving yourself enough time through conscious breathing to change your chemistry through the breath. And as we change our physiological chemistry, our consciousness changes. And when we breathe consciously for just a very short period of time, our respiration rate decreases, our blood pressure drops, our mind slows down, the emotions settle. So the positive benefits are immediate. And those are just the outer kind of benefits. When one really becomes a practitioner of meditation and breathing, then you can start to access the ever deepening territory within and realize peace.
Beautiful. Beautiful. And I can imagine that being able to drop out of that reactive space not only helps you deal with the news, but to actually come from a more loving place, even in our relationships, which I think sometimes we take so very personally when we are in that reactive space. So tell me a little bit about what you do at the Snow Dragon Sanctuary.
Well, we are a 501c3, so we're a charitable organization. We are for all faiths and all traditions. We do a lot of contemplative practices like meditation, movement. We do a lot of time for self-reflection and retreats. There are spiritual discourses, which are not part of any particular religion at all. There's no dogma or religion attached to it. It's for all faiths and traditions. And so really it's people can come, and we have times for meditation and open spiritual conversation. And then we also have times for, deeper trainings and retreat times. So people can actually come and, unplug from their, habitual lifestyle that, of course, we all have.
Beautiful. So I have to ask you one last question, because and this may be a little bit provocative, so bear with me, but it's a question that I think I hear actually from my children. I have 8 children, and one of them is 8, and the rest of them are millennials. and we have a traditional Jewish household, and all the kids went to Jewish day school, and all of them have rejected Judaism significantly, as not so much rejected it, but they keep telling me, don't you know, Mom, in this modern world, religion is dead, that we don't need religion anymore. And I am actually just reading Dan Brown's new book, Origin, which has sort of the similar theme in it. And I'm wondering, in this place that you come from with this beautiful perspective on finding the commonalities between all these different faiths and weaving these teachings into this beautiful expression and understanding of love. Do you think religion is dead? And if so, where do we go from here? And if not, what is the purpose of religion, and how can we stay aligned with our religious beliefs in an ever-changing world?
Well, I think it's a very personal thing. I think that that religion is important for a lot of people, and whatever their religion is, whatever brings them into that consciousness, which brings them peace and allows them to feel connected to something greater than themselves, I think is a good thing. I think there has been a movement away from, the religious doctrine. I think that's happened. And I don't know what the answer is to the question exactly. I don't think it's black and white. But what I know is that Christ was not a Christian. Christ was a holy man, and Buddha was not a Buddhist. So, man and women take the spiritual tenets, and of course, one of the things that we always want to do is to put things in containers. And so, religions are born, and their essence is pure, but we human beings, we fail a lot. And so I think that we've seen a lot of the shortcomings through religious wars and all sorts of things that have happened within the churches. But I think that our need for connection to God is greater than ever. And I think that part of the reason that we are spinning out of control, out of balance, is because we've lost the connection. And I think that, it's kind of like we're untethered and spinning. And I think that, we have to understand that the ground that we walk upon is sacred. We have to take care of our earth. And we also need to have our feet on the ground, and we need to have, our consciousness connected to the heavens. And I think that that's probably one of the most important things. And so however one can achieve that balance, I think, is a good thing. And so it's different for many people.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. So just one last thing. Do you think we're moving through a shift that's going to ultimately unify us as a species? Are we seeing a change in humanity that's bringing us closer, perhaps, to the expression of unity consciousness?
I have spent my life as a spiritual teacher and practitioner. And when I was younger, I really, really thought that I could make a difference. And then I went through a period of questioning about, maybe, 10 years ago or so, maybe 8, when looking around, seeing that things were getting worse instead of better. And they've continued to worsen from what I can see. But I had to really pray very deeply about this, because I had to hold on to my bearings of heaven and earth in order to remain a beautiful person, and to remain and hold on to the sacred place within me, which is peaceful and loving. And so no matter what the outcome is, whether we're not down to the very bottom yet before we come back up or not, doesn't really matter to me. All that really matters to me is to be an anchor in my own life, and hopefully that that anchoring and integration will go out into the collective and somehow help. So I would not say to anybody to become depressed or afraid. Stay with it. Just stay with the forces of light and healing and integration. Because no matter what, that's our sacred choice that we get to make as a human being.
Beautifully said. Thank you for that. You can find more out about Maresha and her beautiful work at snowdragonsanctuary.com. My 8-year-old daughter would love the name of your sanctuary. So again, that's snowdragonsanctuary.com. And you can find her book, The Way Home to Love, A Guide to Peace in Turbulent Times, on Amazon. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I really savored every page that I read on this. So thank you so much for the work that you've done and for being a really grounded beacon in this turbulent time. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you once again for having me. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
Thank you, Maresha. Maresha teaches us that there are 3 key elements to holding the energy of peace in times of massive change: unity consciousness, meditation, and spiritual living. Unity consciousness is thinking, feeling, and acting in ways that harmonize us with ourselves, others, nature, or to the God of our understanding. It's the successful integration of our inner awareness to ourselves and to everything and everyone around us. The practice of meditation creates integrative awareness. Meditation unifies the body, heart, mind, and spirit as it harnesses and harmonizes the conflicting forces and disturbances that arise from the body, emotions, and mind. Spiritual living rests on the premise that we are all souls having human experiences. When we recognize that we are spiritual beings first, we can deepen our awareness of the interconnectedness of life, to each other, and to the Great Spirit. There's a profound easiness in this process. No striving, just being. I think sometimes we make the process of alignment and growth more complicated than it needs to be. May you find peace in remembering that your breath connects you to your heart, and that your heart connects you to the world and everyone in it. If you want to learn more about the heart of who you truly are, please visit our Quantum Conversations Facebook page, where you can order your free customized energy blueprint, Your Human Design, so that you can find your way back to who you truly are. I'm Karen Curry Parker, hoping that you remember your special place in the cosmic order and that you realize with breathtaking awe that you are truly a once-in-a-lifetime cosmic event.
Thanks for listening to Quantum Conversations with Karen Curry Parker. For more information, visit joyfulmission.com.